Lights started coming back on for almost 500,000 people across Texas shortly before noon Tuesday. The power ramped up in part because federal caps on emissions were temporarily lifted. Generators like wind turbines, as well as natural gas and a nuclear power plant, were also thawing out. But an estimated 3 million customers across Texas were still out and in the cold.
And the more megawatts we're getting on the system every day, the more restoration we can do every day.
ERCOT CEO Bill Magnus, in a Zoom interview, told me they knew the weekend storm was going to be bad, just not this bad.
And I think the generation community similarly said, okay, we've got a big issue coming. We get over these summer peaks effectively. Let's go. Let's see how we do.
The explanation did not sit well with Governor Greg Abbott, who spoke to me by phone.
For one, I declared it an emergency, and I said publicly how bad it was. And so if that is their answer, that's a bad answer, because everyone knew this was going to be bad, and we expected them to be prepared.
Abbott is calling for an investigation into the crisis.
And that is exactly why earlier today I declared ERCOT reform to be an emergency item this session, asking the legislature to immediately investigate ERCOT, what its decision-making process was, why it was that they did not have more backup power prepared to be able to deal with a situation like this.
The governor says he's aware that efforts were done and continue to be done to get a reverse flow of energy into Texas from other regions. But those areas are also dealing with power shortages, according to Magnus.
If we brought everyone on, which is our number one priority, to get everybody back and where they can get electric service, if we tried to do that without getting the resource side, the demand side and supply side in balance, we risk, and we could have risked during this event, to have a catastrophic blackout where the conditions you have today, where you're still out of power and very frustrated, that could go on for months.
House Democrat Caucus Leader Chris Turner posted, "The power outages in Texas represent a catastrophic failure of leadership." He went on to say the legislature must pull no punches as it conducts a top-to-bottom investigation into how this happened. Every aspect of the public and private sector connected to the electric market in Texas needs to be investigated. We need answers, accountability, and corrective action.
And there is going to be a lot of analysis, I can assure you, by policymakers, leadership, and the industry to see what we're going to learn from this one.
Those questions are coming fast. In a social media post, House Speaker Dade Phelan announced a joint committee hearing on the 25th. The Speaker stated the review is being done to help Texans understand what went wrong and how we can prevent these conditions from happening again. The hearings are expected to echo those held in 2011 after a big February storm caused blackouts. At that time, power generating companies were urged to upgrade facilities to prevent freezing. ERCOT believes changes made then prevented a shutdown in 2018.
This is absolutely deja vu all over again. I wrote about
Jason Isaac, a former state lawmaker and current analyst with the Texas Public Policy Foundation, said he predicted the power crisis would come this past summer, but the COVID-19 shutdowns delayed it.
They've been playing games with their margins and their reserve margins and forecasting how much available electricity we were going to have. And this really came home to roost during a cold spell, one of the worst times.
City skylines, which stayed lit up during the crisis, are expected to help push reforms. But that glaring issue apparently isn't for lawmakers to address, according to the governor.
Those were local-based decisions by the local energy distribution centers, not by ERCOT. So it is reprehensible, but that is something at the local level that has to be decided.